Hello, I'm Kevin from Haunted by Horror. They just premiered the new Chucky TV series, and I just thought I'd come on here and talk about the first episode a little bit. Now, there were some things about the show that I liked, and there were some things about the show that I did not like at all. So, I guess we'll start with the positives. Overall, it seems like it's going to be a good show. Um, I like that so far in this pilot episode, at least, they haven't gone into some of the more campy elements that the Chucky series has kind of drifted into since Bride of Chucky onward. Um, and hopefully they'll keep going in that direction without getting too ridiculous. Now, I know leading up to this premiere, they talked a lot about how the inspiration from the show came a lot from Child's Play 2. And so I'm really hoping moving forward that that's the direction they go in, and away from the ridiculous stuff. Now, the main character, Jake, seems like a well-rounded character, but almost everyone else on the show seems like this cartoonish, stereotypical bully like you would see in an 80s movie. His cousin and his girlfriend, who were supposedly the most popular people in school, or at least that's the way the series tries to make it seem, are assholes. They're assholes. Like, how are they popular if they're assholes? That's not how popularity works. If you're an asshole, people don't like you, and then you're not popular. People are popular because people like them. What is with these assholes being popular in movies? That's not how the world works. And I guess in this case, a TV show. But it always bugged me so much that so many movies have this idea of bullies being popular. Bullies and popular people are not the same. Even his cousin, who was supposedly becoming an Eagle Scout at 14, is an asshole. And the most popular kid in school. But he's all three of those things. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't let you become an Eagle Scout if you were acting like that. The only person who's not an asshole is the guy that he has a crush on. Everyone else, well, and the teacher, they're the only two that are nice. We got one kill in this episode, which, if there's a kill in every episode, that's a pretty good pace for a TV series about Chucky. But the kill was kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's similar to a kill from one of the movies, but it just makes me wonder, because what the hell is Chucky throwing up? Does anybody else wonder that? Like, he doesn't eat anything. Why is he throwing up? And did he just make himself do that? Is that one of his powers? What's going on with that? Did he, like, I don't know. And the main character got a call from Andy, which made me wonder, how the fuck did he get his phone number? That was kind of weird. Yeah, it was okay overall, but I hope going forward it gets better. I really do. Because I can't stand those fucking characters. Like, maybe Chucky will hurry up and kill him off, but the fact that they're doing interviews with the main character like they're going to be a big part of the overall series doesn't give me hope that that's going to happen. So, I don't know, maybe they'll grow as characters and they won't be so tropey. Alright, Well, that's all I have to say. Have a good day.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin, and this is Haunted by Horror, a YouTube channel dedicated to all things horror. Today I'm going to be talking about the second episode of the Chucky television series and just giving my opinions on the show so far. Now, first off, I'd like to say, I liked this episode more than the first one, but I do understand the first episode had a lot of heavy lifting to do. It was introducing us to our surroundings, to the characters that are going to be a part of the show, and just doing some basic world building. One of the reasons that I like this episode more than the first one is because in the first episode, you don't get a whole lot of Chucky. He's in there a little bit, but he really comes out in this one. There's a lot more Chucky in this episode. And that's why people watch the show Chucky, to see Chucky. Yeah, the fact that there's a killer doll running around and they're using practical effects is awesome. Now, the main protagonist, Jake, in this episode, he's grieving over the loss of his dad and keeping this secret because he knows about Chucky, but nobody else does. And for the most part, people are being nicer to him, both because of what happened with Chucky at the talent show, and people being impressed with that, and also just the fact that his dad died. Now, we do get one kill in this episode, and that seems to be about the pace. There seems to be about one kill per episode, at least until towards the end. They might up it a little bit towards the end, but for right now, it seems steady, one kill per episode. This kill was a lot better than the one in the first episode, in my opinion. Now, some people may think the electrocuting with the smoke and Chucky throwing up on his feet was awesome, but it's not my thing. The dishwasher with the knives sticking up, yeah. And of course, after that happens, Jake assumes Chucky did it because he's a serial killer. And Chucky tries to outright deny it. Says, must have been an accident.
It wasn't me. Accidents happen, Jake. More often than murder, and way more often than murders committed by supernaturally possessed dolls. That's just basic math.
But how common are accidents in a house that has a possessed serial killer doll? You know? It's not very likely. Most likely, it's the serial killer doll. Now, a lot of the plot of this episode revolves around this party that they all go to. And I have some issues with the party itself that I just want to bring up real quick, because they're in 8th grade. They're 13 and 14 years old, and they're going to a party with alcohol and no chaperone, and all of their parents are totally fine with this. What the fuck? It's just a bit ridiculous to me. Now, moving past that, Chucky gets to the party. He plays some video games with Lexi's sister. He gets into the room where Lexi is with her boyfriend and gets under the bed, and he's trying to stab her, and they keep rolling, and he keeps missing her, and sit up, and it's kind of a funny scene, but I think it's really indicative of how the rest of the series is going to play out. No matter how shitty a person is, which in this episode it's on full display, the scene where she reveals her costume and she's Jake's dad, fucking horrible person. Despite the fact that they attempt to humanize her a little bit, both with the scene where her parents say something harsh to her and it hurts her feelings, and then also while she's in the middle of acting out Jake's dad's death, she gives him a little look like, oh, maybe I went too far. No shit. But then she continues on, and fuck her. But the thing is, Chucky's not going to kill Lexi. For one thing, she's a kid, and Chucky chases kids and tries to kill them, but he's never actually killed a kid in any of these movies. Never. Not once. So this would be the first time that he's killed a kid. What I think is a more likely scenario to play out is that Chucky will convince Jake that she's a shit person, and he'll try to get Jake to kill her. It might even get to the point where he's like standing over her holding a knife. But at that point, I see him, being like, no, this isn't going to happen, and like stabbing Chucky or something like that. And then maybe her little sister grabs the knife and stabs her. I mean, that's not really what I think is going to happen, but I think it'll play out where he tries to get Jake to kill Lexi, and Jake will really struggle with it and end up, of course, not doing it. And that'll be kind of the turning point where Chucky starts to go after Jake. So we've had 2 episodes. We have yet to see Andy. We had a phone call from him in the first episode, but we have yet to see him, and we know he's coming. We have yet to see Kyle. We know she's coming. We have yet to see Jennifer Tilly. We definitely know she's coming. And we have yet to see Nika. And we know all of these people are coming. But it'll be really interesting to see how they're introduced and how they come into this world of the Chucky television series. Like I said, I thought this episode was a lot better than the last one. We got to see Chucky more, and the kill was better, and those are the main 2 things. Those are the main things. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. Bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
I'm Chucky.
Wanna play?
Hello and welcome to Haunted by Horror. I'm Kevin, and after watching the 3rd episode of the Chucky TV series, I have some opinions, and I thought I'd share those with you. Now, in this episode, the kids have a party, and Chucky sneaks around the party, trying to find Lexi to kill her. No, wait. That was last week. This week, the kids have a party, and Chucky sneaks around, trying to find Lexi to kill her. So yeah, they do the same thing in this episode that they did in the last episode. They have a party and all of that. But in this episode, it's a little more believable because it's a much smaller party. And everyone's parents don't know about it. Of course, I may be getting ahead of myself. There's some things that I want to talk about that happened in the episode before the party. So let's talk about that. In this episode, Jake is on board with killing Lexi to the point where he goes with a kitchen knife to the woods and waits for her while tracking the GPS on her phone. But then he goes to confront her, and it turns out to be his cousin. It's weird to me that they're wearing matching outfits. I mean, I guess they were jogging together, and then he went back to get her phone. I don't know. Matching couples outfits are just weird to me. It's a weird thing to do. It's nothing against the episode, just it's weird to me. Jake's cousin, who's also Lexi's boyfriend, tells Lexi that she needs to go apologize to Jake because she went too far at the party. And she does, but she does so in the shittiest way I've ever seen anybody apologize. And then she asks him for a favor. Not just a favor, she asks him to give her his personal property for free. And there's a scene where Devin goes to Jake and checks to make sure he's okay. and tells him he wishes he could protect him, and puts his hand on his shoulder in the weirdest fucking way. And Jake gets kind of flustered, and he has a totally normal reaction. But what Devin does is fucking weird. And then we learn that while this is going on, Devin's recording their conversation, which maybe would explain the fucking weirdness. But it does seem that Devin's on Jake's side, because he realizes that his mom suspects that Jake is somehow involved in these murders or accidents, and he's trying to clear Jake's name. That's what he says. That's what he says, alone in his room, talking to himself. So I have no reason to doubt that. I have no reason to think he has nefarious plans. It's weird. It's weird that he recorded that conversation, but I do think he's on Jake's side. So, and in this episode, the science teacher, Miss F, is it Miss Fitzgerald? Anyway, she calls Lexi's parents and Jake's aunt and uncle in for a conference and shows them a video of Lexi at the party, dressed as Jake's dad, being electrocuted. And so, hopefully, Lexi's parents will understand from this what a fucking monster she is. I kind of doubt it. I don't think the show fully appreciates what a fucking monster she is, because they're not going to kill her off. I really think she will make it through the whole series. And I'll be pissed about that. But I won't be surprised. And Lexi dances with Oliver in front of Junior after Chucky told the entire school she was cheating on Junior with Oliver. Who the fuck does that? Again, we got one kill in this episode. And this is the first time we've seen Chucky kill a kid. In all of the movies, he's never killed a child. But in this episode, he does kill a child. He kills Oliver at the party. He thinks it's Lexi, and he gets him coming around the corner, and then stabs him. And this kill was bad. It was terrible. He had the knife, and he's going like that to the side, little puppet arms. It just very clearly he's not stabbing him. The angle was like you have a perfect view of him not stabbing him. Hopefully going forward, they don't fuck up that bad anymore. Because it just ruined it. It would have been fine. So Chucky finally does catch up to Lexi while she's in her bedroom smoking weed alone while her party's going on downstairs. And he puts his shoes under the thing, so she goes to check, and it's just the shoes. And then he jumps on her back, starts kicking his little legs and trying to choke her. And while he's on her back, her joint flies off and hits the curtains, and everything goes up in flames, and the fire starts to spread, and everybody's downstairs dancing, and there's this slow-mo, and the fire behind Chucky, and then the fire spreading behind them. It's cool. It's very cool visually, but Chucky doesn't get Lexi. He doesn't get her. He's not going to. I don't know why they keep doing this, because I know they're not going to kill her. Oh, and one thing I haven't even talked about is the flashbacks. I kind of forget about them. They don't really add anything to the story, but so far they haven't taken anything away either. So they're just kind of there. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about those. This episode kind of drug. It was a little boring until the end, to me at least. We did get some good lines and things from Brad Dourif in this episode, but overall, it just didn't do it for me. And the kill was bad. It was really, really bad. So I guess we'll see what happens next week. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
I'm Chucky.
Wanna play?
Hello and welcome to Haunted by Horror. I'm Kevin, and today I'm going to be talking about the 4th episode of the Chucky television series. Alright, so I just watched the 4th episode of Chucky, and this episode picks up where the last episode left off, after there was a big fire in Lexi's house while she was having a party. And we go to the hospital. The very beginning of the episode, reminded me a lot of Halloween Kills. Um, I have expected Chucky to pop out and start massacring firefighters, but maybe that was just me. I mean, I'm sure other people just watch that movie and they might think of it too, so I can't be the only one, right? So we go to the hospital, and all of the nurses are wearing white dresses and nursing caps, which was just odd to me because nurses haven't worn those for long enough that it's not really a thing in movies anymore. I don't understand why they chose to do that in this movie. It's weird. And of course, Lexi knows that Chucky's alive now. And after Jake finds out that Devin's okay and sees Lexi's sister has been intubated, then Lexi confronts Jake about the fact that he just essentially tried to murder her. And of course, she can't tell anyone else about the doll. So, for some reason, she decides to go with Jake back to her house. So she finds all this out, and then, hey, you tried to kill me earlier tonight, but yeah, I'll go with you to try to find your accomplice at my house alone so I can be alone with the two of you. That seems like a good idea. And yet, she's still alive. Um, this episode did see my prediction come to fruition. What I've been saying would happen happened. And I didn't know how it would play out exactly, but what ended up happening was Lexi started to fall, and Jake grabbed her arm, and then Chucky was there egging him on, trying to get him to let go. And he didn't. And that's almost exactly what I thought would happen. The thing is, when Lexi fell, I think she was on the second floor. Because it seemed kind of high when they showed from above angle, but then they switched to a down lower angle, and when Jake started to pull her up, Chucky was jumping up and swiping at her with a knife, and it looked like he was right there at her feet. Which, if Jake would have let her go, she wouldn't have died. She probably wouldn't have even hurt her ankle or anything, because it's not that far of a drop. And there's nowhere inside of her house that I would think would be high enough. If you fell feet first, you would die. I mean, maybe off the roof, but even then, you would have to fall head first. I mean, it's not that high. It's not that high. She might have twisted her ankle because she was wearing heels. But she wouldn't have died. I mean, if Chucky got her with the knife, now he would be dropping her down where Chucky could get her, and so that would kill her. But the fall alone wouldn't kill her. It's almost a certainty that Lexi is not going to die. Can we just kill her, please? Please? And also in this episode, Devin finds out about Chucky from talking with Lexi. And Devin's mom seems to think there's something going on with the doll. She definitely knows that Jake knows more than he's saying, and suspects him of involvement in some way. But it's difficult to tell why exactly she's so focused in on the doll. So again, we got one kill in this episode, and it was a character that just popped up to be fodder for being murdered by Chucky. that was the character's entire purpose. It makes me think of the scene in The Dark Knight where he's dangling him. And again, we got one kill in this episode. And it was a character who came in, was basically set up to be murdered. That was the entire purpose of his character. And then Chucky killed him. And he killed him not in a great way. He threw a scalpel at him from across the room and hit him in the spinal cord, and then he wasn't able to move. And then he took a bunch of needles, like just handfuls of needles, and jabbed him over and over with these needles. And no one heard him screaming or anything while he's being jabbed, because it would take a lot to kill somebody in that way. And nobody heard him, nobody came, and they're in a hospital. And Chucky unplugs Lexi's little sister's vent from the wall, and they make a huge deal about that. Like, there's a huge fucking issue because that vent was unplugged from the wall for a couple of seconds. I don't know why. All in all, this episode just didn't feel very eventful. And I hope they hurry up and bring in some of the legacy characters from the Chucky franchise, like they've promised from the beginning. I don't know. It'll give me something else to focus on, so I'm not just frustrated week after week when they continue to not kill Lexi. Alright, well, thanks for watching this video. Have a good day.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
I'm Chucky.
Wanna play?
Hello and welcome to Haunted by Horror. I'm Kevin, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5th episode of the Chucky television series. Alright, so in this episode, Lexi's dad brings the Chucky doll into Lexi's little sister when she wakes up, and she freaks out because its face is half melted and it's fucking scary looking. So he takes it and he throws it in this trash chute, which sends Chucky down into this big bin of sharps. And Chucky's just rolling around, just fucking loving the AIDS. Because apparently this hospital has zero safety regulations at all. None. And we don't see him question anybody about the police officer's death in the last episode, which is weird. And Lexi, Jake, and Devin kind of team up in this episode to take down Chucky, and Lexi just kind of cold shoulders Junior, just kind of ignoring him. And I have to say, like, if I was Junior, I would really think that what was going on is that everybody suspected me of killing Oliver, because what his cousin said at the talent show gives motive for him to want to kill Oliver. And he would have reason to kill his housekeeper. He would have reason to kill his uncle. I would think there would be more suspicion on Junior than there is. They do mention that maybe it was Junior, or maybe Jake and Junior were working together once when the maid was killed, but they sort of gloss over that, and I would really think more attention would be paid to Junior, especially since he was at the party. And so if I was the police, I would definitely be looking at him, and if I was him, I would definitely think that was the reason why Lexi and his cousin and Devin are kind of grouping up and leaving him completely out. I mean, why else would they be doing that? Why else would he think that they're doing that? And they try really hard in this episode to make Alexi's mom out to be a bitch, which later on in the episode, when she's talking to the people from the town, it really does come out that way. But earlier on in the episode, when she's talking about Lexi and the shit that Lexi's done, like, I don't feel that she's overreacting. I feel like Lexi's dad is the one who doesn't appreciate the seriousness of the situation. Because if my kid was fucking dressing up as somebody's parent that was just killed at their school and then having parties while we're not there and nearly burning our house down, and someone was murdered in their house at this party, that's some serious next level shit. Like, they make it seem like she's overreacting, or at least I feel like they're trying to make it seem that way. But to me, it seems like the dad needs to get fucking excited. Like, that's some serious shit. And I guess Lexi is just cool with Jake now. And Jake is cool with Lexi despite all of this shit and her being a horrible fucking human being and him trying to murder her. I don't know. I guess maybe after he tried to murder her, she's like, "Oh, well, I get you now. I understand you better. We can relate." Is that what it is? I mean, fuck. Are they just both sociopaths? They just friends now because they both understand that the other is fucking psycho? Jake and Devin have their first kiss in this episode, and it's a very heartfelt, touching moment, which, you know, in the midst of everything else, seems a little out of place, but, you know, it's a nice moment for their characters and sort of the way that the show's been progressing. Although, I do feel like Devin has some ulterior motives in his relationship with Jake beyond just liking him. And mostly that just goes back to the fact that he was recording their private conversation. And it makes me wonder if he's still recording their private conversations. If he was recording what Lexi told him about the doll, recording his conversations with Jake about Chucky, recording the whole incident where they smashed the doll in. Is he still recording that stuff? Does he record all the time, or was he just recording because he was trying to find some evidence to clear Jake? I don't know, but I'm still a little suspicious of him. Um, I hope that I don't have reason to be, but I mean, considering that we're just over halfway through and they're kind of forming a relationship, which I really didn't see fully developing until later on in the show, towards the end of the season. Um, it makes me think that something's going to happen. Of course, that something could be Devin getting murdered by Chucky later on in the season. I don't know. And we finally find out what Junior's mom's secret is. And it's that she's dying and has stage 4 cancer. The show really tried to make it seem like she was cheating, when really she had cancer. To me, it seems unrealistic I'm not an expert on cancer, but it seems to me that by the time you've reached stage 4, it would be nearly impossible to keep hiding that diagnosis from your family. So yeah, Junior's mom is dying. Although maybe it's her cancer diagnosis that leads her into researching and becoming the world's foremost expert on Jason, because she's trying to figure out about his extraordinary regenerative abilities, which ends in her being cryogenically frozen and facing off against Jason in a spaceship in the future. But of course, what's more likely is that she'll be killed off in some heroic way. We get one kill in this episode. In the previous episodes, we've really gotten one kill, and then sometimes we see the aftermath of the kills in the flashbacks. In this episode, we actually see the kill in the flashback, and then in the present time, we see the aftermath of the kill. And so they kind of flipped it a little bit there. We didn't really get to see the principal get decapitated. We just saw her head roll out onto the stage. So, I mean, and one interesting thing in the flashbacks was it was actually Fiona Dourif who was dressed as her father in the flashback, with him doing the voice, which was weird, but not nearly as weird as the Jennifer Tilly voice, because the Jennifer Tilly voice wasn't her voice the whole time, and that part of it was way weird. I feel like it would have been more effective if maybe the girl he was with had brought her back to the hotel room, like, oh, I have a surprise for you, and then the point where he tries to kill her and she says, do it. If that was just Jennifer Tilly's voice there, and it probably would have been more effective, because it was just fucking ridiculous that she had a different voice, and then after they killed that girl, her voice changed. It was too ridiculous. Fiona Dourif, dressed as Brad Dourif, looked so much like Tommy Wiseau in The Room. I just thought that was funny. Actually, after Nika was able to break through and tried to rescue the guy in the hotel room, we actually got to see him killed too. So, I mean, really, we kind of got 3 kills in this episode, because we got the throat slit, and then we got them stabbing the girl, and then we have the principal's head rolling across. So we had all kinds of kills in this episode. And we found out that Chucky realizes that Nika's been able to break through, but he doesn't want Tiffany to find out. And I feel like that's probably going to be essential to the plot later on. And when Lexi's dad tries to replace the Chucky doll, he gets a Tommy doll. So we get another Tommy doll, like in Chucky 2. We don't get to see any doll-on-doll murder in this one, though, sadly. He does transfer his soul into the Tommy doll, and just kind of casts off his burnt-up husk. And so the kids think they've stomped Chucky to death and killed him. Jake kind of questions it, but Lexi's like, yeah, of course we fucking did it. She said, what did she say? Just take the win. Yeah, Chucky's not that easy to kill. You're not going to take him out in the 5th episode, in the middle of the episode. I mean, and even if they had, there's all those other Chucky dolls. Of course, they don't know about any of that stuff yet, but they'll find out. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty good episode. But yeah, those kids will definitely find out. Chucky could be, but yeah, those kids will definitely find out. Chucky could take over anybody's body. He could be in your body right now. He could be in mine. Anyway, have a good day.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
What's up, creepers? My name is Kevin, and this is Haunted by Horror. After watching the 6th episode of the Chucky television series, I had some thoughts. And I figured, what better place to share those thoughts than with a bunch of stranglers over the internet? Now, this episode opens with the scene of Andy and Kyle pretending to be with the census in order to gain access to this house to essentially assassinate one of the Chucky dolls. And it was cool. I like the way that they take out the Chucky doll and just blast on him. It's really cool. So we get another flashback scene in this episode where Fiona Dourif is dressed as Charles Lee Ray, essentially dressing up as her dad, and it looks really good. The only thing that I would say is I wish they would have maybe stuffed the suit jacket, because she's just swimming in that suit. And they continue with the weird voiceover, and I don't like it. And also, the flashback sequences just don't seem to serve a purpose. You know, we've gotten essentially 3 sets of these flashback sequences with Charles Lee Ray being played by 3 different actors, and it's not telling a continuing story. It's just flashes of his life before he was Chucky, and it doesn't add anything to the story. Junior's mom tells her family in this episode that she has cancer and is immediately pushed out the window, like right after the next scene. And it just seemed like there was more to develop with that character, with that plot thread. And if this is it, it's so disappointing, because I really thought that was going to go somewhere, and it didn't. We also get a scene with Nika / Charles and Tiffany / Jennifer Tilly, where Chucky and Tiffany are arguing in a hotel room as Tiffany's trying to shove this body into a bag. And when she hacks off one of the arms, the blood splashes Nika / Chucky in the face, and for some reason, this causes Chucky / Nika to revert back to the Nika persona. And I'm not sure if that has to do with the voodoo aspect or what's going on there, but I'm sure it'll play into the plot later on. And then we get this scene of Tiffany and Nika playing poker, and Nika being really worried that Tiffany can tell that she's not Chucky. And this is kind of a subtle nod to the fact that Jennifer Tilly is professional level poker player. She actually won a bracelet in I believe it was the World Poker Tournament Ladies Only Invitational. And she's been in a relationship since 2005 with Phil Lake, who, if you know poker, is referred to as the Unabomber because he wears a hoodie and sunglasses when he plays poker. And they've played together, and they're both really good. Jennifer Tilly's won over $1 million playing poker in tournaments, and so it's just a nice little nod to the fact that she's an amazing poker player, and Nika's trying to bluff her, and it's not working. And I like the reveal at the end of the scene where Tiffany reveals to Nika that she knows it's her, and the reason she knows isn't from the bluffing. It's because she stabbed her in the leg 10 minutes ago, and it shows her leg and she has a knife sticking out of it. Which I would have thought her paralysis, when Chucky did whatever voodoo he did to her body to make it so that he could walk when he takes over her body, would have had the same effect even when Nika's in control. But apparently it doesn't. So apparently when she's Nika, she's still a paraplegic. And in this episode, the science teacher gets arrested. And they don't just bring her in for questioning, they arrest and charge her on the spot in the middle of class. So there must be something that they know that we, as the audience, don't. And just, there's got to be something going on with the teacher, I feel like. Of course, we still don't know why Devin was recording his conversation with Jake. Maybe it'll be something that comes up later. Maybe it'll be a plot thread that they just drop. I guess we'll find out. After Junior's mom dies, he goes and tries to talk to Lexi about it, but she can't even pretend for 2 minutes to give a shit about what's going on with him at all. And so he breaks up with her. So after Junior breaks up with her, Lexi doesn't go to Junior's mom's funeral, which seems a little messed up to me, but not nearly as messed up as Jake not going to his aunt's funeral. That seemed just really kind of fucked up to me. And in this episode, Devin comes out to his mom, and she's cool with it. And then while everybody's at Junior's mom's funeral, Devin, Jake, and Lexi try to set up a trap to catch Chucky. And while they're lying in wait, Jake and Devin start talking and kind of planning a date for sometime in the future. And while this is going on, Devin's mom tries to call, and he ignores the call. So then Chucky shows up and tries to talk Lexi into killing Jake, which, I mean, their trap's really not that effective, and Devin's mom ends up showing up at the house to see if that's where Devin is. And Chucky runs up and murders her, and that's the end of the episode. There's kind of a lot going on this episode, but there was also a lot of disconnected plot threads and just stuff happening. So we've spent the last 6 episodes getting to know these characters, and as soon as characters like Andy, Kyle, Nika, Tiffany come in, I don't really give a shit anymore. Like, I just want to see what's going to happen with that. I don't know if that's just me, but it just seems like I should care about these characters more. And I don't. I just want to see what's going to happen once Andy and Kyle and Tiffany and Nika come together and all the shit starts happening. That's what I want to see. I don't really care about all this middle school drama stuff. I just want to see the face-off. And maybe that's just me, or maybe I'm older than a lot of the people watching this show, because I just don't care. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you have a good day. Bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
What's up, creepers? My name's Kevin, and this is Haunted by Horror. I watched the 7th episode of the Chucky television series, and I had some thoughts that I wanted to share. So, let's get into it. Alright, so in this episode, we have another flashback, and I am still unclear what purpose the flashbacks serve to furthering the plot line. I think they're just there to be there. So Junior's mom's funeral is in this episode, and apparently in the last episode, I was wrong because I thought they were skipping out on Junior's mom's funeral to set up this whole Chucky trap, and they weren't, so my bad. They do all attend Junior's mom's funeral. Junior punches Jake in the face because he blames him for all this stuff that's going on. Junior's dad is drunk pretty much the whole episode, because he's grieving for his wife, and that's how he's handling it. All of the stuff with Devin's mom dying in the last episode is just too much for him. They don't really talk much about Devin's mom's death in this episode, but they do bring it up in relation to Jake and Devin's relationship. Jake contemplates running away, but sees a Chucky doll being delivered somewhere, and that gets him to change his mind. And he comes back, and Lexi refers to herself as a member of Jake's chosen family. And we're just a couple episodes off of her torturing him fucking mercilessly and him seriously contemplating murdering her. I don't think she's made that distinction quite yet. We're jumping the gun a little bit here. Devin decides to check out Charles Lee Ray's old house, and he breaks in, and Nika is tied up and calls out for help. But once he gets her untied, he realizes that it's not Nika, it's Chucky in Nika's body. And so she turns the tables on him, and he ends up tied up in the chair where she just was. But Jake and Lexi know that he's there, and so presumably in the next episode they're going to come save him. The Chucky doll starts talking to Jake and convinces Jake to kill his dad. And so Jake uses the Chucky doll to beat his dad to death. And so Chucky's finally gotten someone to kill someone. He's finally convinced someone after trying this whole series to get anybody to kill someone. And it's not clear why he's been trying to, but they definitely make it seem in this episode like there is some reason that Chucky has been trying to get these kids to kill one of their parents. Like, it's not just some sadistic thrill, that there's actually some reason behind it. And Andy leaves Kyle at a gas station, presumably trying to protect her from what's going to happen once they actually get to Hackensack. And so he just locks the door and drives off and leaves her at this gas station. The part where Junior decides to join up with Chucky and kill his dad is a neat little twist. I mean, it's not totally unforeseen. It's kind of been leading up to that. But this episode overall just seems like it is setting things in motion for the next episode. And so I don't really have too much to say. I'm really interested in seeing what happens next week, more than what happened in this episode. So that's all I have to say. Have a good day.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you moron.
Hey, what's up, creepers? My name's Kevin, and this is Haunted by Horror. I watched the 8th and final episode of the Chucky television series, and I thought we could talk about it. Alright, so in this episode, we start out with Andy at Junior's house, and Junior's being very cagey, and Andy's just trying to figure out where the Chucky doll is. So we get this little scene where Andy is kind of going around the house looking around, and it turns out Chucky was hiding in the toilet, and he threw Junior's dad's body down the laundry chute. Jake has the doll from the previous episode that he got at the bus station, and the doll comes to life and comes after them, and Kyle comes in and blasts it away. And then oddly suggests that they all drink coffee. Which, if this was a Freddy Krueger movie, you know, there's no reason why they would question it. But why do they need to drink coffee to fight Chucky? Oh, that's right. So she can drug them. So then we come to the house where Chucky and Nika's body and Tiffany are, and they have Devin tied up. And Chucky and Tiffany get into an argument, and Chucky decides he's going to kill Tiffany. But then Doll Chucky shows up with Junior and convinces him not to because they still need her for the plan. And Junior, at this point, shows that he recognizes who Jennifer Tilly is, but he never questions it, never says anything about it. It's never even anything at all. That was really strange to me because he doesn't say a fucking word about it at all. And it just doesn't make sense. And in this house, there is an army of Chuckies. And so we come to the best scene in the entire series so far. The part where there's a bunch of Chucky dolls lined up and they start asking questions about what's the age limit of the youngest people they can kill. And whenever the main Chucky doll comes up with a rule as far as the youngest people they can kill, then another Chucky doll comes up with some exemption that would nullify that rule. And it just goes on like that for a little bit. And I really like that. I like seeing all the different Chucky dolls kind of feeding into each other and playing off of each other. And even with the Nika Chucky and the Chucky doll, that's a really interesting dynamic. And it was the best part of Cult of Chucky. I know a lot of people didn't like that movie, but that was the best part, seeing all the Chuckies interact with other Chuckies. So we find out that the plan is that Jennifer Tilly is going to donate all of these Chucky dolls to these children's hospitals across the country. And again, I don't understand why the fuck she's intentionally tying her name to the donations of these dolls, knowing what's going to happen and what's probably going to happen at the theater, which is what does happen. And so if she wanted to get away with it, this wouldn't be the way to do it. So Lexi and her mom and her sister are out front of the theater, and Junior and the Chucky doll lure Lexi into the theater. So she thinks that Junior is in trouble, and really he's luring her into the back to try to kill her. And there's one time when it seems like, oh, maybe it's gonna happen, where she's going down this hallway and he cuts a corner and she goes down the hallway, and then it cuts to commercial break, and it's like, well, fuck, it's not gonna happen. And of course it doesn't. They go behind the screen and have this dramatic, emotional conversation. I mean, not real emotional. These characters don't have a lot of character other than Lexi being a bitch and Junior, now being a murderer. That's the most character development that he's had this entire series. There's just nothing to that character. Which, seems like those two would be a good fit. But Chucky tries to get Junior to kill Lexi, and instead he attacks the Chucky doll. And when he stabs the Chucky doll stabs him, and they both die. And while this is all going on, the Chucky doll that Jennifer Tilly has given to Lexi's little sister is running through the theater, climbing under people's chairs and stabbing them in the ass. And he must have a really long knife, because everybody that he stabs in the ass dies from their ass wounds. So, he's just running around stabbing these people in the ass, and they're like, oh, and dying. And of course, at the end, there's an altercation between Jake and the Chucky doll, where Jake shows that he really did have the murderous potential that Chucky saw in him when he chokes out the Chucky doll until its eyes pop out. But it seems like he might be too late, since the truck, for some reason, the truck waited until the movie was over. And I don't know if they were playing this movie on fast forward or what, because the movie went by from scene to scene. They were watching Frankenstein, and it just blew through that fucking movie while all of this stuff's going on like it was nothing. And the cops didn't show up till the end of the movie, even though Chucky started stabbing people in the ass like halfway through. And so the truck was about to leave, and Andy took out the driver and stole the truck and flipped off Tiffany while he was heading out. And then doll Tiffany pops up out of the back of the truck and pulls a doll gun on Andy. I guess it's a real gun. That's just the size for a doll. Like, do they make children's handguns? Because it was real little. But anyway, this episode has a lot of things going on. The show in general seems like it picks up a lot of things that could be plot and just drops them right back down. And it's really frustrating because there's so many things that it seems like are going to go somewhere, and they do not at all. I mean, even with Andy and Kyle, like, we don't get a confrontation between Andy and Kyle and Tiffany and Nika and Chucky. That never happens. Lexi's dad dies, so Lexi and her mom are still alive, and I know those are the two characters that people most wanted to die. Apparently, they released Miss Fairchild. We don't know why they had evidence to arrest her in the first place or what's going on with that. We don't know if Kyle's alive. We don't know what's happening with the Andy and doll Tiffany situation. Basically, there's just a whole lot of loose threads that they left open. So I guess it's good that they got renewed for a second season, but I really have to say that overall, I was pretty disappointed in this episode as the final episode of the season. The very end scene was Nika and Tiffany, to ensure that even if Chucky takes over Nika's body, he won't be able to do anything to her, has cut off Nika's arms and legs above the elbow and above the knee. And that was the end. I just feel like this series has had so many things going on that could have led to something that have not, that it's just been one frustrating thing after another, and it didn't live up to its potential. I know there's a lot of good in this show, but there's also a lot of sloppy writing, and I just really hope the second season is going to be better. So, all right, well, thanks for listening to me. Have a good night.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.